There are moments in the K-pop world that don't begin with a camera flash. Moments that don't start on stage or in a live stream or in a viral clip, but in silence, behind a heavy door, in a room that was never meant to be spoken about. Tonight, Army, you're about to hear the story behind HYBE's secret meeting. A meeting that forced Jungkook and Taehyung to stand on opposite sides of a line they never wanted to cross. And when the truth leaked, the entire fandom shattered. This is the full story. It began on a quiet night inside the HYBE building. Most staff had gone home. The halls were dim, washed in that late-night glow where everything feels softer, quieter, almost innocent. But on one upper floor, behind a door marked confidential, executives sat around a table filled with schedules, projections, and internal assessments. Their faces were tight. Their voices were low. Because the topic on the table wasn't a comeback, or a tour, or a brand deal. It was Jungkook and Taehyung. Not because of scandal, not because of conflict, but because their bond, their closeness, their emotional reliance on one another backstage was becoming too strong for the company to navigate. Too emotional, too precious, too real. A junior coordinator stood in the corner, silent, her hands trembling. She had seen them earlier that same day, Jungkook laughing while teasing Taehyung over an old performance video, and Taehyung placing a gentle, almost protective hand on Jungkook's shoulder when he looked tired. She thought she understood their bond. But that night, she learned she didn't understand anything at all. The executives finally arrived at a decision no one in that room actually wanted. The pressure on the group was too high. Global schedules were crashing into each other. Expectations were suffocating. So the company chose one thing: separate their activities temporarily. That one sentence changed everything. The room fell silent. Even the coordinator felt her heart collapse. She knew how Jungkook internalized everything. He would blame himself. He always did. And Taehyung, he would smile through it, but it would still hurt him more deeply than anyone would see. She left the room with tears burning behind her eyes. But she wasn't the only one who heard the decision that night. Someone else did too. Someone who wouldn't stay silent. The leak started as a whisper, a faint spark in a dark hallway. Did you hear something about a separation? I think schedules are being divided. There might be changes to their activities. But by morning, that spark had turned into a storm. HYBE wasn't prepared. Management wasn't prepared. And Jungkook and Taehyung, they woke up with no idea that the world outside was already shaking. When Taehyung arrived at the building the next day, he sensed it immediately. People avoided eye contact. The air felt thick, like everyone knew something he didn't. He walked into the practice room and saw Jungkook sitting on the floor, still unfocused. "You okay?" Taehyung asked softly. Jungkook tried to smile, but Tae knew better. Before Taehyung could press deeper, a senior manager appeared with that expression everyone hates, the rehearsed, emotionless face used in corporate crisis moments. "We need to talk, both of you." A cold wave passed through the room. They were led down a long hallway, into a conference room used only for major decisions. Executives were already waiting. "We'll get straight to the point," one said. "Due to restructuring and upcoming schedules, we decided to temporarily separate your promotional activities." The blow hit instantly. Taehyung froze. Jungkook blinked rapidly, like he was struggling to understand the words. "This isn't punishment," another executive added quickly. "It's about workload and individual growth." Taehyung's voice came out low, tight. "How long?" "We're still finalizing the timeline," they answered, which meant, of course, they weren't ready to say it out loud. Jungkook's voice cracked. "Why didn't you tell us earlier?" The silence that followed felt heavier than the decision itself. When they finally left the room, the hallway felt endless. Too bright, too cold. Jungkook stopped walking. His voice trembled. "I don't want this. Not like this." Taehyung stepped closer, placing a steady hand on Jungkook's back. "We won't let this change anything," he whispered. "Schedules don't decide who we are to each other. Promise? Jungkook asked quietly. I promise, Taehyung said, but the storm outside had already erupted. Back in the practice room, their phones buzzed nonstop. Notifications poured in faster than they could swipe. Taehyung checked his first, and his expression immediately shifted. Jungkook, look at Twitter. Jungkook opened the app, and his breath caught. Worldwide trends. Hundreds of thousands of tweets. Hashtag protect Taekook. HYBE explained. Taekook separation. Tears filled Jungkook's eyes. They think we did something wrong, he whispered. Taehyung gently took the phone from his hands. This isn't our fault. But they're hurting, Jungkook said, voice breaking. They're hurting because of us. No, Taehyung said firmly. They're hurting because they love us. And love reacts first. Before logic, before explanations, before calm. And then came the real disaster. A 23-second voice note began circulating in private group chats and locked accounts. A recording from inside the confidential meeting. We may need to separate Jungkook and Taehyung for upcoming activities. It's not optional. Once it hit public timelines, it was over. Security ran through hallways. PR teams scrambled. Managers panicked. The building itself felt like it was shaking. The performance director, one of the few people they truly trusted, grabbed them and pulled them into a locked room. The leak got worse, he said. People think HYBE is separating you permanently. Jungkook's stomach dropped. But that's not what the meeting was about. We know, the director replied. But when social media feels something, what's true doesn't matter anymore. Taehyung started pacing, frustration spilling out. Who leaked it? He demanded. We're investigating, was all the director could say. Jungkook sank into a chair, hands trembling. Army thinks we're being forced apart. His voice broke again. Taehyung pulled a chair beside him, locking eyes with Jungkook. We're not going anywhere, he said softly. We don't break that easily. Promise? Jungkook whispered. I promise. Taehyung answered without hesitation. But the chaos wasn't done. The director's phone buzzed violently. He checked the screen, and his face went pale. Oh no, what happened now? Jungkook asked. A major international outlet posted a story. He said slowly. They're claiming there's a deeper conflict inside HYBE involving you too. Silence fell. The world was no longer just watching. It was judging, speculating, exploding. As the crisis spiraled, Jungkook and Taehyung sat side by side in the locked room, terrified, confused, hurt, but together, because no matter what the world believed, no matter what articles said, no matter what rumors tried to break, they refused to let go of each other. This wasn't just a fandom panic. This wasn't just a leak meeting. This was a storm designed to test their bond, their resilience, and the love of millions of armies around the world. And the truth was clear. The story was far from over.